Hello everybody, welcome into the Hobby Bar. This is Jason, and welcome. Today we'll be trying to get these three guys done that we've been working on. The Iconward here for Genestealer cults, the Primus, and the Nexos. So, kind of determined to get them done today, if at all possible. But, yeah, just a few more details to pick out. Notice the light on this guy kind of doesn't have much going on it, and the blade of the sword has to get done. But besides that, also I want to highlight up some of these arms a bit better. They look a little pale. And besides that, get on to basing, and yeah, doing something real simple, just classic, to match up the other little leadership role people in the force. So nothing too fancy for basing planned. But anyway, that's the plan for today. Hopefully this time with audio, since I'm mentioning it now, since that sucked last time. But anyway, if you do any hobbying, feel free to jump in, join along, get some stuff done. If not, hey, that's cool too. I appreciate you hanging out, and yeah, hopefully you get whatever you're doing done. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into these three. And don't forget to start up your own music, because yeah, just makes it simpler. Listen to whatever you want then at that point. But yeah, we'll dive into these three, and let's hopefully get them done. Move on to some other fun stuff. Alrighty, first up we got our initial coat of Citadel Rhinox Hide on here. Thinned it down quite a bit with some medium, added a little bit too much medium for the amount of paint I used, and yeah, kind of means it stays wet for a little bit longer, which means we have to do something else while it dries. So we break out Army Painter's Mutant Hide again. I noticed on the arms there was still a little bit of white on the arms, so I kind of wanted to try to take care of that. That's why I wanted to break out the Mutant Hide again here and highlight some of the Primus's arms. I also hit the Acolyte Iconward here a little bit for the highlights, just to sort of build up the color a little bit more, because I like the look of it over the skin tone on these two. So yeah, thankfully remembered to do audio for the recording this time. Also kind of noticed there's another light source there. I decided to throw on these basically watch repair goggles, jeweler's glasses kind of things, and they have LED lights on the sides. I can pop out the lenses, so I just wanted to use them for a little bit more light to help me see what's going on. That's why there's that other light coming from where I'm sitting. But yeah, anyway, we'll go ahead and basically do a last little bit of building up highlights with this Mutant Hide here, and I shall catch up with you all shortly for the next paint. We're technically going back to the previous paint. Whatever. Alrighty, here we are back to Citadel Rhinox Hide, and given that sword its second base coat, kind of build up the color, hide up the Korax white spray undercoat on it a little bit better. But then it's gotta dry again, so I need to find something else to work on. Again. Enter Army Painter Quickshade's Light Tone. I noticed the banner on this caught my eye. It was a little bit flat, so I figured, we'll do the simple thing, get a little bit of a wash in there, and hopefully that'll help define the features a little bit better. And then we can highlight it up again later on. Similar to how I do the white sort of linen on my daughter's cane. And I was like, That should work on a wrap for the big banner staff that this guy's got, instead of doing it like red or something else. So, decided to come in with the light tone while the Rhinox Hide was drying. And yeah, that killed some time. Then we broke out the Citadel Karak Stone again. Again, this was what I put over the Rhinox Hide for their claws and nails on the head spikes on the Iconward and the Primus. So, wanted to break out Karak Stone and basically give it that sort of mid-tone that's this sort of tannish brownish color. And I noticed the what would be the side of the sword that you see when looking at the front is angled down. That's why I'm trying to keep more of that sword, the Rhinox Hide based undercoat, instead of just painting over most of that with Karak Stone, like I'm kind of doing here on the back of the sword. Because I noticed the back of the sword here is a little angled up, so it should catch more light, and therefore more of the sword should be this mid-tone sort of tannish color. So that's what we ended up doing here. Though we do come back to this color a little later when trying to highlight everything up. Anyway, talk to you in a bit for the next paint. Alrighty, here we are breaking back out the Army Painter Mutant Hide. I noticed the hand that was holding the pistol is basically still just primer around the pistol grip there. So wanted to come in with Mutant Hide, try to knock that down a bit, and then I was looking around and it's like, well, maybe we can add a bit more color elsewhere. Sort of build it up a little bit more in some of the highlight areas, just to really push this color in there and make it stand out a bit more. Alrighty, then we broke out the Citadel Screaming Skull, and this was the highlight color on the nails, the claws, and horn. So, need to break this out for the sword. Mostly just get the edges highlighted right now. Just sort of build that up as much as I could. Then when I was looking at it, like, I think I built it up a little too much in some areas. So, even though we highlighted we highlighted up nicely, we then go back to Karak Stone real quick and try to blend it a little bit better. Plus I noticed this little spot of darkness was kind of stuck there on the outside of the sword. But then we go right back to Screaming Skull and sort of try to finally highlight up the front of the sword here. Get the edges, get that edge highlighting nice and done up. Ooh, and then I believe that's it for the sword. It'll basically be done similar to their bony naily colors. So, hey, got that piece done now. Woo! Next up, we got Citadel Abaddon Black here, because I kind of wanted to do the caution striping on the battery pack. So, just trying to come in here with a little liner brush I've used, and yeah, just so I could see it, I had to angle it in certain ways, and because of the disc there, it's gonna be hard to see some of the things I do, because it'll kind of get in the way. But yeah, we go ahead and add these little stripes. I try not to be too fancy with them. Just build them up enough so that it's nice and visible. Like, I don't need them super dark, just enough that they're there, and the idea comes across, basically. So, that's kind of all we put into it. Just because it's not really part of the Nexos himself, it's just sort of extra. Then I wanted to make sure I kind of had the same angle on the other side for it. So, that's why I was trying to figure out, if I flip them over, which way does the line have to go to match the other side, and yeah. But, anyway. So, there you notice they're going the same direction towards the handle on the battery pack, so I was happy that we managed to do that. And then just need to build back up the lines again, since those were sort of the guidelines for where I wanted to paint. But yeah, then after we do this on both sides of it, I noticed the pistol handle on his belt is still white, so we'll jump in and pick that back up, so that's no longer just primer. So, yeah, this episode's the big push to being done with these guys, so that's why it's a little bit longer than the others too. Alrighty, now we're back to Citadel Screaming Skull again, and this time just using it on the hand wraps here, or the, not hand wraps, the wrapping around the icon, the Iconward's icon, whatever you want to call it, his big banner. Need to highlight up the wrappings that go up and down it since we washed them. Just gotta figure out which way the light is coming and try to highlight those areas. So notice I'm kind of using the brush more sideways than I am like point on or point towards the object. So just trying to catch raised edges and catch textured bits and highlight it up that way. Try to keep it a little bit simple. Didn't want to bring in a dry brush because that would probably get messy and get everywhere. So there's so much painted stuff already around it. Just wanted to keep it simple like that. And then I decided I wasn't quite happy with where his sword was with the highlights. So gonna keep it simple with the smaller brush though, and come in here and try to edge highlight it up and pick out the parts that needed just a tinge more of this Screaming Skull, just to bring him up and try to make him pop. So yeah, think we can get it there this time. Though yeah, we do get it there this time. Though I did notice afterwards that I need to go back and catch a couple of things I missed. Alrighty, now we're moving on to Citadel Leadbelcher. Initially, I had this out because I was gonna get the belt buckle and the tip of the metal, like, tip of the belt that the guy has, or the Primus has here. Since those are still primered and white, but then I noticed the little lamp there wasn't quite metallic enough to me, so I wanted to use some Leadbelcher on it, and then once I did that, I figured I would hit some of the other highlighted areas, or areas that should be a bit more shiny than they were, with some Leadbelcher, and then I forgot about the belt buckle and the tip of the belt. So now we're moving on to basic with Astrogranite. Just gonna keep it real simple with these guys, honestly. Because this faction I tend to play more as urban and urban / potentially in a mine, so I tend to keep their basing real simple. Nothing too fancy. Again, I tend to like simple basing stuff anyway, because if it's built up too much, it's almost like, cool, good job on the base. Like, the base looks nice, but then we're just talking about the base and not the mini. That's the way I kind of feel about it. So that's why I tend to keep basing super simple. And plus, since I tend to paint everything already assembled, it's way easier to just spread some of this around wherever you can reach it instead of popping the mini off of the base that's already fused onto because you plastic glued it down. So there's also that. Anyway, I'm trying to be real careful here because I want to get some of the texture underneath the robe. Even though it's real hard to see down in there, a little bit every little bit helps. Just to sell the illusion that he's actually wading around through all of this crunchy, sort of gravelly stuff for that would be laying around in the rubbles of the city or what have you. So yeah, that's why I tried to get it all in there, and then trying to vary the texture a little bit with how I apply it. It's a little hard to do sometimes when you do small amounts of this stuff at a time, like I'm doing. But I kind of just wanted it thin on the back, and then on the front, we get a little bit more on there for the front. So we can vary the texture up a little bit more on the front than we did on the back there. But yeah, we just go through this process for all three with Astrogranite, so this takes a little while. And mostly because I was being real careful with this guy because of his robe. And that robe is kind of weird to work around. But yeah, I mostly wanted to just take my time with it and then try not to get it everywhere, all over the painted boy. It's kind of one of the problems of doing it assembled. You'd have to be more careful, but I don't know. To me, it's just easier. But yeah, we'll go ahead and again do this process on all three, and I'll catch up with you all in a little while when it is all completed. For those of you who liked watching the Agrellan Earth dry because of that crackle, Astrogranite isn't a crackle, so it just sort of settles. So there's kind of no point in me recording a time lapse of it drying, so I won't be running any of that, like in the corner or anything. So, yeah, we'll just finish this up, and I'll see y'all in a little while for the next paint. Alrighty, here we are busting out Citadel Agrax Earthshade. One of the two good old liquid skills, as some would say. I noticed my Earthshade was starting to thicken up and become goopy in there, almost like a normal paint. So I started adding some medium to it and vortex mixing it up just to try to get it back to a more wash-like consistency. And when putting it on this guy, I noticed it was still a little bit thicker than where I would want it. I would say it was about the consistency of Army Painter's Quick Shades, so it was a little bit thicker than a normal Citadel shade paint would be. So I was like, time to re-attack this. But I wanted to just get what I could down on this guy and just make sure that that's how I was feeling about it at the time. And after applying it to this guy, yeah, I decided that it's a little bit thick. So we'll have to come in and redo all of that mixture. Just basically adding more medium, which you'll notice here shortly on the next guys. On the next guys, it goes on a little bit thinner. It's probably a little hard to see, but it spreads out a little easier, and it's much more, it's much closer to the consistency that it should be for a shade paint. So we go ahead and use this on the Primus here and the Nexos over there, who didn't have any of the Agrax Earthshade on them. And yeah, that'll be it for washing these guys. Then we'll have to come in and dry brush over it, because doing a shade like this all over, kind of want to pick back out some of the texture in the texture paint, the Astrogranite. So yeah, we'll be coming back to dry brush these after a while when they dry, basically in another day. I need to wait and let them just dry. So yeah, this process took a bit. Hey, getting these guys done. So anyway, I'll catch up with y'all here shortly for the next paint. Alrighty, here we are moving into Citadel Dawnstone, the dry version. yeah, really not much to say about this process. I really don't need much light when doing the dry brushing, so I turned off some of them for recording, and then I didn't think about it until later. I was like, wait, it's probably going to be pretty hard to see, huh? But, oh well. Should have turned back on some lights. This way it could be a little bit easier to see what's going on. Dry brushing, it just takes some time. Just gotta take it easy with the amount of paint on it. And, yeah, the Dawnstone is pretty close to the color of the Astrogranite by itself anyway, so it's kind of hard to see just the Dawnstone's effect. You might be able to pick out some of the texture coming back out in it, though. Depending on how well it's coming out. I know some of the texture on the front is able to be picked out a little bit easier when the light hits it, because after the dry brushing, but pretty sure like most of the other texture on the on this guy's base at least is kind of hard to see still, but it's okay. We're just building up sort of a mid to highlight color anyway with this dry brushing, even though it's more of a light to medium dry brush. It's not really a heavy dry brush to really get everywhere, but yeah, we'll go ahead and do this to all three of these guys. And then we'll go ahead and move on to the highlight dry brushing, which is a little bit feel a little bit desaturated when you first look at it, but in the end it sort of helps sell just dusty sort of rockiness or being around. So there's that. Also, before it happens, forgot to mute my phone, so hopefully you don't get confused when the notification sound happens at twice speed, because of the footage running back at 2x speed. So, if you hear a phone go off, don't worry, it's not yours. It's just mine. Anyway, I'll catch up with y'all here shortly for the next paint. Alrighty, here we are for the last thing that I basically recorded on you guys, or that I want to leave in the video at least, is doing the Citadel Terminatus Stone. Saying the last thing because I completely forgot to hit the belt buckle on the Primus with the Leadbelcher, because that was the last thing I wanted to do for him. And then I did record rimming the bases with the Abaddon Black, but I feel like that kind of went on for a while, and It's just basic, putting a couple of thin coats over the white rim of the base already, so it wasn't really anything special to talk about while doing it. So I figured I'd save the time and just skip that part, since I feel like we've done it before enough times. And it's just the rim of the base. Figured, whatever, we can just get that done and not share it. Save some time on the video, keep it closer to closer to the target time, even though we're still a bit over it with this episode. But anyway, yeah, this will be it for these guys after this Terminatus Stone. So we'll finish up this process on the Primus, Nexos, and Iconward, and I'll catch up with y'all here shortly for the spin and the last call. Alrighty, last call everybody, last call. So, on there, you notice the rims are done on them. I did notice when I was setting up the spin for the belt buckle on the Primus, so I gotta add that to the list to do off stream, or off camera. And, yeah. Finally got these guys done, thankfully, so that's a plus. We can queue up the next project, and not sure what exactly we'll do for the next project. Maybe break out a gunpla or something. Do something completely different. But, it's either that or convert up some minis. I'm not sure which yet. But probably some assembly for the next episode. Just to break it up. And since we're approaching episode 50, you know, try to change things up around now. But yeah. Hopefully y'all got whatever you were working on done, or had a good time hanging out, and I appreciate y'all, hanging out, so, yeah, hopefully catch up with y'all next week, and hope y'all have a good one out there, everybody, and take care.